What's up, coaches? And thanks, everybody, for tuning in to another episode of the Rising Coaches podcast. As always, Alan Major, Doug Caputo here, getting an opportunity to chop it up, learn a little bit more basketball. This time, we're going across the big pond, and we're going to learn more about people over this play styles, bunch of different things. But first, before we get into that, I have to give a quick shout out to something we've been working hard for. As we always say, the Rising Coaches Conference collabing U.S. Nike camps and Snow Valley camps, July 22nd, Westmont College in Santa Barbara, California. Make sure to sign up for it. You have a limited time left, so make sure that you get on top of that. Make sure you sign up, and there's going to be a lot of coaches and a lot of great speakers. Now, as we always say, the reason you're here, the reason you want to listen to this isn't to hear our voices. I know those could probably be watered down. You are here to listen to the head coach with Manchester basketball, Coach Herman Mandole. Coach Mandole, welcome to the podcast. What's going on?
Welcome. Great pronunciation. Great.
We're working on it. I'm working on the tongue roll. I'm working on it. We'll get there eventually.
You told me this is a space to learn. You know what I mean?
And that's what we're doing, right?
Yeah. That's right. It's all about development. That's right. Coaching is coaching.
Yeah.
So we appreciate you being on here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
As I said, I know we have had, just the experiences that you have had so far. You being Argentina assistant, Japan, Italy, now being a head coach, recently appointed. I think it was about 6 months ago that you were recently appointed the head coach.
In Manchester, I started in February 21st. So okay. I finished my job in Italy February 18th, and February 21st, I flew to Manchester.
There's a lot of things that we can dive into, especially for international ball, because a lot of people are wondering just why international is excelling so much more right now. And there's a lot of things that we can get into. But before we get into that, obviously, we want to dive into a little bit about your background. So, as I said, having a strong background internationally, just overall from a basketball standpoint, from a coaching standpoint, I know you've worked with people in the States. What do you feel are some big differences? Like, why are international basketball taking that huge step? And we're seeing such growth internationally. You're seeing so many better play styles, different variations. Like, what do you think are some big differences right now?
I think every place is different. So I believe 100%, even in the same country, in the tailor-made suit. Like, okay, Milan is not the same than Varese, because the people in Varese, you have to know the history of Varese before to go there. Manchester is not the same than London or Caledonia, and they play in the same league. And Japan is different to everywhere. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So when I went to Japan, it's like I gotta take out my chip, my SIM, and put another new one, just because the culture is so strong and is so new from me. It's different than everywhere where I was before. You know what I mean? So something like, I'm from Argentina, and we used to hug, we used to touch people. We used to kiss people. And when you went to Japan, as soon as you arrive, you realize like you can touch nobody here. You know what I mean? You are not gonna touch, or even in the way you present the things. You know what I mean? Like I remember the first week in the training camp, I presenting like one trade defense in one screen, and I trying to touch in the hip one guy, and they look at me like, a coach, this is illegal. You know what I mean? So because in Japan it's legal or illegal. So it's like, what you are talking about, this is illegal. It's not a law. I said like, yeah, but this situation, I said to myself, this situation happened in basketball. You play always in the border between the legal contact and the illegal. We can see it right now in the NBA finals. So we reset, and we start to present all the things before to go to the practice with the term like legal contact, and then we start to show videos about the higher levels NBA first, because Japan looks the NBA first than nothing, and then
Mm.
Euro, and then Argentina, and like, okay, guys, this is Japan, which is very good. The country works perfect, but basketball war is different. If you wanna be successful in basketball war, you gotta copy the best one. So we start to present things like this. Maybe you go to Italy and we show like how they play in NBA. The Italian people, which they have a history, because at one point in the 90s or in the 2000s they were the second best league in the world. She
Hmm.
know, a lot of good players play there. They look at you like, what you are talking about? We are better than those guys. You know what I mean? So you gotta show something by yourself and how you are going to improve your team. So I think every place is different. I think, the best athlete of the best basketball players and the best coaches are in United States, because they have you have the best league in the world. But and you can copy, from there. But I think the international basketball is growing up faster, even faster. I mean, we are in 2025. Everything happened faster,
Yeah.
Like, I used to talk with a lot of old coaches and say, no, but in my time, your time is not anymore here. And it's not gonna be any more here, and it's not gonna happen if you don't get into the boat, into the train. You are gonna be out. So you gotta adjust. You gotta accept the adjustment every single second. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
For that reason, to me, the biggest difference between America and international are the talent. United States have. Um, um, Between every place are a lot of different, because it's gotta be really really into the culture of that place. I am from Buenos Aires, the capital of the country, in Argentina. I work in Santiago del Estero, which is 1,000 kilos from Buenos Aires in the north, and it's completely different. They look at me
Mm.
like a foreigner. So you gotta, to me, and this is personal, you gotta go very deep into the culture before to take the shot. Then into the core is easy, is where we had the knowledge. For that reason, they sign us. But you have to know the culture, or maybe you are gonna talk about one player and say like he wasn't good enough, and but that player was from that city, and he's the idol of everyone, and they are absolutely different. So
Right.
you have to know a little bit. You know what I mean? So this is the biggest situation, the biggest difference between every place where I was.
It's interesting how you said knowing a culture, because every place you go, you're literally trying to adapt and adjust to that culture, because that culture is going to help you communicate, and then that communication is going to help you coach. And so it's very difficult just to jump into a place and just start coaching. You have to like adjust in so many ways. But talk about the difference. I think in America we have our training module. In a given week it's games, 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 maybe skill development, and then practice. It
Yeah.
seems to me in Europe that's completely different, that it's practice, and skill development, several days, and then maybe one or two games per week on a youth development level is what I mean. So it seems totally opposite in Europe, that development is the focus and then games, and here in the States where it's games are the focus and then maybe development. Do you see that being true in Europe?
Yeah, that didn't happen. I mean, yes, system development, because to me in United States, the player development, like the player had the value for the franchise. You have to draft one guy being like 3 points to 10, and you gotta in 4 years you have to create from this 3 point guy 3 point, like in the range, no, 0 to 10. You gotta give to the franchise 1 7 guy. You know what I mean? Because this is the value at the end of the. Or if you take one seven guy, you gotta become in 110 guy like Anthony Edwards, but this is the player development where into the NBA they have, or you have guys like very, very, very the eyes putting on the players. In Europe, I think is more system development because the most important thing is winning the next Sunday. Is win or die, and you are gonna have. I mean, in Varese, I was 3 years there. The second year we play the cup, which is like Wednesday, and you can develop the team a little less. But in Varese, the owner of Varese is Luis Escola. Luis
Mm-hmm.
Escola is like, but his background is NBA. He's 10 years in NBA. So the first year in Varese, I was the head of player development. I worked with Matt Brassi at that point, and
Yep.
the development of the player was very important. We do vitamins every day. Even we put the name vitamins because vitamins is something like you have to take every day. If
Yes.
not,
Yeah.
it's medicine.
Right.
Because you take when you are sick. So we do vitamins every day, no matter what. The second thing we used to say, like our mentality. So we used to think one into the game and one after the game. Into the game was next play mentality. We want to play fast, no matter what. But during the week, the mentality was so what? We lost, so what? We gotta do vitamins. We win, so what? We gotta do.
Mm.
We gotta do vitamins.
Mm-hmm.
We are happy. So what? You gotta win the next one, or you are sad because you lost. Okay, so what? We gotta come here Monday and we gotta practice. So, Bares is a little different, like because even they don't have the biggest budget in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
Even they don't have big budget. You have to bring players at one price, but they had to play for another different price, and there is where they are gonna have, or they are gonna make the gap between the biggest budget and then smaller. You know what I mean? With this and with the efficiency, like playing efficient than the other, more efficient than the other is where they are with the lower budget. They are gonna try to catch up that gap. So, and then in Manchester, I really believe in the player development. I believe 100% because at the end of the day, you can develop your system. You can have the best system in your world, but you pass, cut, whatever the coaches, the X and O are gonna put the guy really open in the corner, but then if that guy miss the shot, that doesn't mean nothing. You know what I mean? So it's one. I really believe in the player development, and I think it's not one or the other. No, if I develop my players, I not develop my team. So, but you have to believe in this because it's hard for the coaches. I was in both positions. I was head coach in Italy, and I was head of player development, and I was assistant. And it's tough for one coach when you have to win the next Sunday, right Monday, I say like, oh no, we are gonna start with the skills. We are gonna put two players with two coaches here, two players. The other players are gonna arrive later because it's Taylor suit, and then we are gonna start the practice. And when you lose it, okay, but the players are gonna be tired when we start the practice. You have to believe in that. And I do the same situation in Manchester. And when I arrived to Manchester, the team was really, really bad. We were eighth, and doing the same thing, we arrived fourth in the best, qualification in the last 25 years. So I
Mm.
think like you can do both. The situation between, or the difference between Europe and NBA. Sometimes in NBA is okay to lose one game because then you are gonna get one higher position, or more chances to have a better draft. So it's okay, and the people know that. In Italy, it's not okay because you are gonna be in relegation, or you can be in relegation. This is the big difference between them. And then it's just if you believe or not. And I believe 100% for that reason. Like, Varese is like a more American style. You know what I mean? Because the owner and the GMs are American. I mean, the owner is Argentinian, but with the background in NBA, and the GMs are American. But you can do it. At the end of the day, I
Yeah.
do in Manchester where everyone were from UK.
there's
Gotcha.
a lot of things that we have to learn from international basketball, I should say, from the States in the perspective. I mean, if you look at, I saw this graphic, I remember seeing it not too long ago. It was like all of the MVPs that have won in the last, I think it was 7 years, were all international. Obviously, the most recent one, being what Gilgis Alexander over in Canada. So that one obviously is, I mean, that's still international. But every other one was like Giannis, Jokic, like I think Embiid. So it's like all these guys are getting this from international. You could tell they're developing so much better. And now those people are getting bigger and better and stronger than ever. So it's just like the combination of these guys, it's getting crazy. Is you can see it evolving so much. And I do want to have to make sure assistant coach over with the Sixers, Coach Matt Braze, as you mentioned, I want to give a shout out to him. So thank you for being able to connect us. I know you were his assistant coach over in Italy for a little bit, and you got to work with him, as you mentioned, and then obviously transition you into being the head coach now at Manchester. But just looking back with the career that you had, being the assistants that you had in these different countries, I mean, like, were there any big lessons just as a coach that anybody can really take away? Like, what were some big things that really kind of helped form your identity as a coach to then lead you into what you have now over at Manchester? Like, what, you know what I mean? Like, what kind of things had built that philosophy?
I mean, so I used to say this, you know what I mean? Like when you are assistant coach, you think like you have all the answer. You know, when you are assistant coach and we are sitting, you have all the answer. And when you became a head coach, I became a head coach in Varese. You know, so in the same club, it's like the basketball changed all the questions. You know what I mean? So
Yep.
you feel like you have all the answer, even when the owner comes to talk to you. You know, like it's yeah, you are not gonna fail. But then when you are a head coach, like the same people who you used to talk with Dennis start to looking at you. This is the first situation. So try to be in the shoes of the head coach always, and something like for you is easy to change, maybe the head is not easy for the head coach, or the head coach have different reason for not do that. This is the first situation. The second situation is like you have to tell everything, even if I mean, as assistant coach, you have to be ready for uncomfortable conversation. uh, why? Because this is personal. I hate the assistant coach who come and say like, I was thinking to tell you this, but no, if you thinking like to tell me something, tell me.
Hmm.
So as a head coach, I prefer you tell me whatever. Even you tell me I don't like your haircut. Tell me, tell me everything. You know what I mean? Where into the office. Then when we get out of the office, it's just one sentence. And
Yep.
who is gonna decide that sentence, or that is the head coach?
Hmm.
At the end of the day, my opinion. I don't care about your opinion. I don't care about your feelings. And I feel this as assistant coach. I still being assistant coach right now in the national team with Pablo Prigioni. When Pablo, I say like, Pablo, we gotta do this, and Pablo say no. I prefer to do this because the head coach never say like, I don't trust you, because if you are assistant coach, at one point he trusts you. So when the head coach decide like, or tell you, I prefer to do this, okay, you can argue for sure into the office, but then is okay, let's do with this, and this is the best one. um and then as assistant coach, what I learned is the players and the press, the journalists are trying to open one door. They are trying to open always your door. If you allow to open the door, then you are not going to be able to close the door anymore. And others, the agents, if they ask, what's happening with the coach, and you say like, yeah, maybe he's I don't know, he's nervous, you are not gonna be able to close that door. The next one is gonna
Yep.
be, why this player doesn't play. The next one is why you don't recommend this player to the head coach. And the first time you say no, they are gonna be mad. And the same with the coach, with the players. Why I don't play? Why he's over me? Why? And the best thing to me, if I gotta tell to one assistant coach, is say like the first time they come, you gotta hit in the mouth, the first time, because then you are gonna be in one trap. You know what I mean? You are gonna be in prison of them. And the second, the one of my golden rule is like, if you are gonna do something, before to do this, think is what you are if what you are gonna do is the best for the team. It is not the best for the team, don't do it, or you are probably make a mistake. If it's the best of the team, you are not gonna make mistake. Never, never. So if you are gonna help one agent, in my opinion, is because that helped the team. If you are gonna talk with the owner, or you are gonna have a dinner with the owner, being assistant coach, is because you are gonna help the team, or you are gonna help the head coach. If you help the head coach, you are gonna help the team. If not,
Mhm.
don't do it, because at the end of the day, it's the same situation we say to the players. How you are gonna put your face in front of the player? Like, you gotta pass the ball. You gotta be, you don't have to be selfish if you are being selfish. And as a head coach, you have to. What I did, or what I used to do, is like being very precise and very honest in the first day. I trying to hit in the mouth to the staff, or in the first day. So I don't want this. I don't want this, and it's with the X and O's, and with the communication, with the internal and external communication. So I don't want to pull up to. I don't want to. Why? Because the number told me they are inefficient, and the number doesn't have any feeling. So I don't want this. And it's gonna happen the first week. Sometimes happen. So you gotta be very aggressive with that. But I don't want to be aggressive, and my assistant coach put me one face, because I said before. So to me, as assistant coach, you gotta know you don't have all the answer in the world. So as assistant coach, you breathe different. You are more chill. And as a head coach, and then is as a head coach, the first ATO is gonna be easier than the last one. The first ATO, you're gonna it's easier. The last one, when you had to hit one shot to win, or
Yeah.
it's gonna be different in the timeout. You're gonna breathe different. That's my opinion. In my experience. But I talk with Julio Lamas. Is the best coach, or one of the best coach in Argentina. He coached the Golden Generation. He coached in Real Madrid, Japan, and he's still living the same situation. So it's like it's nervous. It's pressure. Our job is pressure. At the end of the day, it's pressure. It's not pressure like one sick. If your son is sick, it's not this. It's different, but it's pressure, and you feel like this. And as a head coach, you are the face. Um, and the people, even if they don't know, because happening in both sides, in my opinion. Sometimes say like, no, you are a good professional. Why? If you don't know me. Or you are a bad coach. Why? You don't know me. So you are talking just about one result. So, and as assistant coach, most of the time, the people who come to you say like, you are good. You are good. You are good. You are good. So this is to me the big difference, and you have to be prepared. If you are not prepared, probably you are gonna make a mistake, because when the things are going good, you are gonna think like, I'm the best one, and when the things are going bad, you are gonna be very, very depressed.
Yeah. No, two things you said there that I think are really good. One for head coaches. And SGA was talking about this after the game last night, their approach now that the series is 1-1. But he said their approach as a team is stay level headed, and let's look at the game and see how we can still get better. Yeah, we won by 16, but how can we still get better? But remaining, like, as a head coach, it's great advice to you have to stay level headed. You can't get too high over a win, can't get too low over a loss. You have to stay level headed. And that's where that next play, so what mentality comes in. That really applies when you're a head coach. But then I love what you said about for assistants is that you always have to check your motive, like your motivation as an assistant. Like, and when before you do something, is it helping the players? Is it helping the team, or is it helping the head coach? Those three things. If it's not helping any one of those three things, it's probably a waste of time. Those three things are paramount, like when you're an assistant. And the other thing I love that you said is that, when you're in a meeting and you're staff and you're talking this, and, it's like it's the letters ADA: argue, debate, and then agree. So you got to argue, and then you can debate about it. But then when the meeting is over and it's time to go to the court, like you said, it's the head coach. There's one sentence, one mindset, because the players can feel when the staff is not connected.
No doubt.
If you go out on the floor together, and how can we ask our players to be a team and be connected if one coach is this way, another coach is this way, another assistant is over here, the head coach is over there? Players are very smart, and they can feel the staff. When the staff walks out on the floor, they're very smart, and they can just feel our vibe and our energy. So I really love that you said those things, because the coaches that follow us and listen to us are going to really gain from that. Great advice.
And I'd say how you mentioned too is having these conversations behind closed doors. Like, I feel like that's a lot of times somebody wants to address something like in practice, to walk up to them and, like when it's fresh on the brain, when the emotions are running hot, that's probably one of the hardest things, to be able to step aside and be like, hey, let's put this aside. Let's remember this. And I'm going to come back to this later on and talk about it. But no, like one thing that I have noticed, and it's kind of along the lines of what you were saying, but I feel like a lot of times I've noticed just from doing this, and you obviously have not done it, but it just, you speaking on it made me think of it, was you see a lot of coaches now using like the terminology they use. When they're talking, they'll say, oh yeah, like I implemented this, or I did this. And instead of hearing like, oh yeah, we, what we're looking to run this year, what we are looking to implement this year as a team, and I feel like that little thing can transition and change a lot going forward, because if you just start saying well, the people around you are going to probably start saying the same thing. And then it's just going to be more individualized rather than like one whole group, So no, I thought that was great that I kind of came up. Well, let me say, you mentioned it, and then I kind of was thinking about it, because I know we had somebody on here before that had mentioned it, and that's a great piece. But you, as a head coach, you're the top of the line now, right? I know you have a guy that you have to report to, probably the owner, people who run the team, but still being a head coach of a large organization such as Manchester, like, what has been your main focus building this program over these past couple months? Like, what are you just stepping into this role? Because I feel like the hardest thing, and at least what we hear all the time, is people stepping into a head coaching role, you're basically drinking from a fire hose. You have 1,000 things that you have to take care of. So what were some of like the top priorities for you stepping into this as a head coach to tackle?
Yeah, when I get to Manchester, the first, or one of the first things I try to change the approach, or the to make the players accountable, make the accountability, and to make the players accountable. So to me, you have to have habits. Habit is everything, in my opinion. So I try to change the way to practice, because in Manchester they don't have the big training room into the arena or into the training facility, so they went to another place. So I say, like, no, that's that. I mean, what I feel about the coaches, or about me, I'm facilitator. Is something we have in common, all of three. Is we are not gonna make any layup. You are not gonna take any rebound. You are not gonna make any steals. So we need the players. If you don't have the players, you don't have nothing. So the and if you don't have the players, you don't have nothing. You have to work for them. I put myself behind the scenes. I mean, sometimes. So what I try to organize with the people in Manchester is, okay, we don't have the big training room, so we are gonna go in groups. So we have to come before the training, have to come before, and we are gonna be like, okay, those three players go in this time. when those players are here, another three are gonna be, shooting or making skills. Another three are gonna do vitamins. Another three are gonna do video. I don't know. So and then we start to flip, the groups, and the practice is gonna start in this, and was more organized. And if you don't have, okay, another three are gonna be after the practice to do with. So it's not perfect. No, it's not perfect. My son is not perfect, and I have to accept my son is not perfect. And I'm talking about the people, the person who I love in the world the most. You know, so it's not perfect. The players are not perfect. The coaches are not perfect. Manchester is not perfect. Paris is not perfect. And maybe if you talk with my brother, Philly is not perfect neither. So, but we can create the best situation with the thing we have, and you don't need the biggest, weight to do weight. You don't need to. Okay, this was the first thing I do in Manchester, just being organized and create habits. So we practice every day at the same time, every day in the same way, and we are gonna have one style, and the style is gonna be always the same. It's not, oh no, in this pull up two is fine, in this pull up two is not fine. No, we don't want pull up two. We don't want, and we wanna play fast, and we wanna run after steals, after rebound, and after makes. We wanna run always. No, but now it's like you are winning by 10, you gotta run. Because you are winning by 10 because you run before. You know what I mean? So I try to be, habits. You have to run no matter what. I remember then there are things, in Varese, we were winning to Milano. I was the head coach. We were winning Milano, the first time in the history that we probably win both EuroLeague teams in the same season. and and we were winning Milano, and Matteo Librisi, one young guy. When Nico Mannion left the team, he was the point guard, the starting point guard, 22 years old, and we were playing against Nico Mannion, Shavon Shields, Leandro Bolmar, all those guys, and we were winning by 10 seconds. We made the press break. He got the ball in the corner. He shoot 1-3 when he had the ball, to get the foul. He was completely open in the corner. He shoot, he missed, and they scored 1 3-point shot after that. I called time out. He looked at me like I was so mad, and he go, Coach, I was open, I say like, yeah, but it's 10 seconds. If they cut, you go up by 6, and the game is, and then we won the game anyway. We won the game. But at the end of the day, when I arrived to my home, happy or happier because we won the game. I said like, okay, at the end of the day, these guys told me like, okay, we are gonna play like this, and this is the best feeling as a coach you can have. We are gonna do this every single time, no matter what. So the first thing I do when I went to Manchester was try to be organized, try to create habits from the players, and then try to be more aggressive, because to me there are something like flow is over the place. So I have a lot of set plays in my playbook, but I prefer flow over or flow pace over the set plays. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't want people or players running, crossing just to start one set, because the four have to be here, the three have to be there, the five. I don't like it. Because I want to play fast. So if the four got the rebound, we push the ball with the floor, with the foreman, and then we see what's happened, and we start to play. And the second thing, and more important, is effort over the X and O. Effort is, to me, is effort, or you can say with different words. But to me, the effort is the most. I prefer five guys running like crazy without having any knowledge where they had to run, but doing, convinced and aggressive, than five guys looking everyone and trying to point fingers just to be right with what the coach wants. So at the end of the day, if you are gonna run, and then we are gonna see in the week if you make a mistake or not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So those things, effort, accountability, and organize were the three first things I changed when I get to Manchester. We changed one thing before I get there, the team won like 30% of the games, and when I get there, the team won 80% of the game without any change, just because the players were more accountable, and uh, they talk about accountability between each other.
Mm. No, I love that. Effort, organization, accountability, habits. Like you literally just gave us like if you're building a house and you got to put four cornerstones, those are like four foundational things, to build off of. And the best thing you said was right there at the end when the players are talking about it, now that they actually they help you hold them accountable by holding each other accountable.
Yeah,
So now
and
that
it's a player-led team.
becomes part of your culture. Now you have like culture, part of your culture is accountability, which is great. And I remember when like we were speaking before we started, and when I interviewed for that job, they had mentioned the different, you had to use like a fitness center or something, or it's like these different training facilities, and you could only be here one day, then you had to be over here another day. I remember it was very all over the place, and so one of the best things it sounds like you did is just kind of brought a consistency to the daily flow, not the basketball offense flow, but just organizationally. They had day to day, like the players knew, okay, this is what we're doing. And then that makes it
Yep.
easier to operate when they can have a consistency like that.
Yep.
Well, yeah, when you know what you're walking into. I mean, there's been kids like I've seen kids coach that they don't know if when they're going to a game, they don't know if they're playing 5 minutes. They don't know if they're playing 30 minutes. Now, obviously, each game is different, but like if a kid, or I should say a player or anybody doesn't know what they're walking into, they don't know how to prepare. Like, am I going to go play or am I going to sit on the bench? Like you don't know how to prepare yourself. And then mentally, that's like the biggest thing is being able to prepare mentally. Like, I'm going to go play 30 minutes this game. My team needs me. I got to step up rather than I have no idea what's going to happen when I get there.
Yeah. I used to have some patterns, in the games. I used to is not usual in Europe, because in Europe mostly of the coach, which is fine, because you can win in different ways. So they are not the one way to win. But mostly of the coaches made the substitution because the feeling or what they are watching in the game, um, in the regular season, then in the playoff can change a little bit. But I used to have the same sub pattern every game. You know what I mean? So the players mostly know, like at 7, 6, 5 minutes, I gonna get in
Yes.
and I gonna
Yeah.
play for 5, 6 minutes, and you know. So and then I try to put the lineups, the best lineups about the numbers. So, but I think I can help the players in that way. Like, okay, they know when they are gonna get in, they know when they are gonna get out, no matter
Yes.
what. Then you have to help me as a player. You know what I mean? Because if you make like one own goal, so, or if you don't guard your man in 3 times in a row, maybe you are gonna get out. But
Right.
is the way to, as I say, like I think I am a facilitator. I gotta make the job of the players easy.
Yeah. No, I love that. I love that. At the professional level, I think that's another thing. I haven't ever coached professionally for a season, but I've had a few experiences with it, working with Team Nigeria, going to coaching in some of the qualifiers. So you're working with professional players there. Thankfully, I had a chance to coach in the Basketball Africa League the very first year and coaching some professionals for about 6 weeks. But the biggest thing it made me better at as a coach is you have to collaboration is a big thing with professional players. Um, you know, barking at them and just being a kind of a crazy man, it's just not the way to go. You have to create a collaboration or maybe like a partnership. You've got to partner with them and help them, meet them where they are, um, develop a relationship with them, the way you communicate. So many of these things are just so important, at the professional level, it seems, as a coach. And sometimes people can maybe miss that, but I like the word you're using is great, facilitator. Like you're there to make everyone else's job easier because If you make your assistant coach's job easier, that helps you automatically. And then obviously, if you help the players, them to learn how to be consistent and be accountable and all that, that's automatically going to help you as well. So if you're
Yeah,
able
no
to help
doubt.
the people around you as a head coach, if you can help everybody else's job be easier, it's automatically going to help you by default.
Well, it sounds like you got a good thing going all the way out, so far, at least the time that you have spent with it. And I mean, at least selfishly, I could say that looking forward to being able to follow you guys, because I know one thing that especially is huge nowadays and people talk about is being able to watch international basketball, different play styles and different techniques, tendencies. You can learn so much from them. So, I mean, at least selfishly, I can say looking forward to watching you guys. We usually like to, shoot down to one more question. And what that last question would be is, I think excuse me, you're mute. You might be muted right now. There we go. But I'd say like the last question that we typically like to at least throw out there is for you. We were to bring you back into your first coaching position. Okay, just kind of thinking back from what you have known now and what you have learned. Is there one piece of advice that you'd share with your younger self in the career that would ultimately help get, and especially like I said, knowing what you know now as a head coach, thinking back, what kind of advice would you give your younger self?
I mean, if I gotta talk to myself, like 20 years ago, or even more, no more, like 30 years ago, because I started when I was 15.
It goes
uh,
quick, right?
yeah, yeah, it's like don't stop to study and put yourself in a comfortable situation. I used to work with a lot of former players, and some ones are really good, and some ones, like when you talk about numbers, they say like no, they don't numbers or efficient or new trends to play. They say like no, that doesn't work, because if they have to study, or even with some coaches, no, when they have to study, they are gonna put themselves in uncomfortable situation where they have to accept I don't know this and I gotta study. And always when you put yourself in the place where you have to say like I don't know, you are gonna be uncomfortable. So I leave this situation in the opposite way. Uh, when I was working in Argentina, I was in the best club in Argentina. We played some scrimmage against NBA, Toronto Raptor in 2000, and I wasn't able to speak in English. And always I like, I'm gonna start. When the job in Japan came, so I realized like, okay, the only thing I can talk is pick and roll, box out and nothing more. And I was very very lucky, like the head coach, because the GM of Japan said like, no, we can bring this guy because he doesn't know how to speak in English, but the head coach said like, okay, he's gonna speak no matter what. I want this guy. But if the head coach at that point said like, okay, I'm gonna looking for another English speaker, beside like the what I knew about basketball, I loved that shop, and maybe my career was completely different. You know what I mean? So, and at the end of the day, what as I was trying to put myself in one comfortable situation where, okay, with the Spanish, I'm fine, to work in Argentina, or even in South America, because there are a lot of places where you speak Spanish and you can make your career. But at the end of the day, it's like, okay, about time. You always put yourself like when you have to do weight every day. No, I don't have time. Yeah, but you have time when you finish your day. You see in Instagram you have like 2 hours in Instagram. So or no, I want to spend time with my son, and then you see your son is like playing PlayStation, and you are just in the couch doing nothing. So don't put excuse to yourself, because if today I was sitting here or you told me, you asked me if I want to do this podcast, and I say I have to say no because I can't speak in English, uh, I will regret, myself, like, why and I didn't start, quick. I started when I was 30 years old or 32. I don't speak well, but I can communicate, you know what I mean? So for
Yeah.
that reason, when I went to Italy, the first thing I tried to do was speak in Italian. And right now I can speak in Italian, and I speak three languages. Good, bad, I don't know, So for that reason, I show with you guys, it's easy for the English speaker because you go everywhere and you speak. So, uh, so this is one, advice. I mean, suggestion, because at the end of the day, I'm nobody to say advice, but suggestion like, okay, learn another language because can open a lot of doors,
Mm,
and don't stop to learn to study, because the basketball is going so fast, and the thing you did the last season, maybe the next season are not gonna work, or they are all. You can win for sure, but one of the worst thing that can happen to me, to Herman, because I'm talking about Herman, is like if you talk with somebody, and you don't have any idea about what they are talking, but then be open, like to say, like, I don't know this, but give me 1 hour. I gonna study harder than nobody, and I gonna give you my opinion, and you have to do it. So this is the advice,
yeah,
suggest.
love it, love it.
No, I mean, basically, so I will say this. I tried learning Italian. I didn't last very long. It did not
Yeah.
last very long at all. Now, I mean, to your point though, being
Possiamo
able to
parlare in
speak,
italiano se tu vuoi, eh?
yeah, no idea, no, no idea. I tried.
He stopped at
No,
chow.
like,
He stopped at chow. He said he learned
yeah,
chow, and that was it. He stopped.
it was just like an app gives you a couple words a day, and then I was like, you know
Babel.
what?
I tried it
Yeah,
during COVID. Yeah, Babel.
yep. It was difficult, but like to your point, being able to learn all of that definitely helps, and also it's expanding your mind and being able to like not only just learn different languages, but learn more, study more. At least it gets you in a habit of studying, whether it's languages or whether it's basketball. Like that.
Mhm.
At least you're kind of getting in that habit of wanting to learn more. So that is great advice because there's so many people out there, young coaches, that they know they want to be in the profession, but they don't know necessarily how. And it's, well, you can find ways. And that's the one thing I always say is like, you will, if you really want something, you will find a way to make it work. You will find a way. It doesn't matter what, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter what's standing in your way. There are alternative routes to go, and there isn't just one way to get to be a head coach. So going off of that, you can learn and you can find different ways. So I'm appreciative for you sharing that because there's definitely a lot of people international in the States, wherever it might be, that are wanting to be in your shoes. So that I'm sure that will definitely help them out.
Yeah.
When I was young, I was sure I wanna. I mean, when I was a kid, I eat basketball. I ate basketball. I dream basketball. And I realized, or I knew that I wanted to live basketball. When I realized I wasn't able, or I wasn't good enough to be player, I became in the best coach possible, and the basketball changed my life.
Mm.
Uh, Being professional basketball coach changed my life and the life of my son, because I start from very deep, and now my son is gonna start the race. A little higher. The race is gonna be easier for him. Uh, so so you gotta find a way.
Yeah.
Player is the best job in the world. Coaches to me is the second one. I'm coach because I couldn't be player.
Yeah. That's right. Same with all of us. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great advice, man. Great advice.
Well, Coach, like I said, we appreciate you for taking the time just to be able to give us an opportunity to learn from you, and thank you very much for chopping it up with us. Uh, Obviously, like I said, we're grateful, and I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that will definitely take something away from it. So, thank you very much for giving us the time.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for inviting me. So whenever you want, or you come to Argentina or you go to Italy, Japan, just let me know. I can give you the real advices. Where you have to eat, where you have to go.
No, that's right. We got a resource now. This is good. This is
Yeah.
good for us.
I want to take a trip soon. Italy is a dream vacation, so I will be sure to reach out to you for some restaurants and stopping points.
Anytime.
Thank you.
Anytime.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you, guys. Bye-bye.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you very much. And everybody, that is another episode of the Rising Coaches podcast. As always, Alan Major, Doug Caputo out here. Thank you all for tuning in to another episode. And as we say, keep working and keep rising, coaches.